Epilogue. We will not soften the blow. Listen, we would love for this story to end differently. We would love for the skies to open, for the dead to rise, for Nicholas to breathe again. We would love for Vera to round a corner and find warmth and welcome, and the unmistakable presence of the living God. We would love for resurrection to arrive clothed in gold and certainty, in light and song. We are not cynics, we are not nihilists, we are lovers of the gospel, but we can't write that ending. Not now. Not yet. To do so would be to lie, to sing hymns over atrocities, to use resurrection the way American churches so often do, like a drug, as a distraction, as a brand, as a license to forget. Let us be clear. We believe in resurrection. We believe in the crucified and risen Jesus. We believe he will come again to judge the living and the dead. We believe in the forgiveness of sins, the communion of saints, and the life of the world to come. But we also believe in truth. And the truth is this: the world is still crucifying the poor. That matters, and it must be said plainly without smoothing the edges. Some horrors refuse a clean narrative arc. Some griefs are too deep for an organ chord and a closing prayer. Years ago, during the Kosovo crisis, I worked in a Bosnian refugee camp, and I heard a story I've never been able to shake. It came from a disaster relief team returning from a village where ethnic cleansing had taken place. The attackers had murdered civilians, men, women, children, and then dumped their bodies into the village well. Not just to desecrate them, but to poison the water. It was deliberate, calculated. A way of ensuring that the land itself could not be lived on again. Not for 50 years, not for 100, not until the memory was scoured clean, not until even the hope of return had rotted away. But someone had to make the well usable again. So the workers went in. They lowered hooks into the darkness and pulled out the corpses, one by one, bloated, waterlogged. Face up. The dead rising, not in glory but in accusation. Eyes hollow, staring. As if to say, you knew this could happen. You let it happen. You still might. That's what resurrection looks like when you tell it too soon. That's what we see when we write about Esau, his body slumped in the doorway, eyes still open. It's what we see when Vera flees into the silence. Not with a flag or a flame, but with a cat and a memory. It's why we cannot soften the blow. Because if we skip over the blood and the silence and the rot, then we are not preaching the gospel. We're selling something. Comforting the comfortable. Baptizing empire. And we refuse. We believe in resurrection, yes, but not one that comes cheap. Not one that skips judgment. Not one that sings while the bodies are still in the well. We believe in God's wrath, not as cruelty, but as justice, as fire, as the holiness that refuses to be co-opted. If you do not find yourself in solidarity with Christ among the crucified, then you have not found Christ at all. And yet, hear this, we do not believe the table of Christ is closed. Quite the opposite. This is a clarion call to the church. Wake up. Remember that Jesus sides with the poor, not because he loves them more, but because the world has loved them less. And he will not let that be the final word. Anyone is welcome at his table. Anyone, the tyrant, the ideologue, the partisan. But you do not come as an oppressor. You do not come with blood still on your lips. You come having laid down your sword. You come having wept. You come to be liberated with Christ and to join him in liberating the world, because Jesus is not the chaplain of your empire. He is the liberator of all creation. We are universalists, yes, not because the world is fine, but because mercy is real, because the invitation is universal. Even those who buried the truth in stone, even they are not beyond reach. But that mercy comes as fire. It judges. It burns. It costs everything. And the blood of the poor still speaks. Esau, Jaya, Peter, Lucretia, the boy with the limp, the refugee, the lynched, the disappeared, the abused. Their blood does not say all is well. It says, Lord, how long? That is why we cannot end this story with comfort. That is why we cannot write love wins across the sky like a slogan. My mentor, Craig Keene, despises that phrase, and he's right to. Because in this culture, love wins sounds like a way to avoid consequences, a way to skip repentance, a way to comfort the powerful before they've laid anything down. To sing peace while the bodies are still in the well is to desecrate the gospel. So no, we won't tie this off with a ribbon, because we've seen too much. The corpses, the children on the border, the black men lynched by police, the trans youth driven to suicide, the pastors who covered it up, the theologians who blessed it, the whitewashed tombs. We can't give you more than Vera and the cat and the memory of a song. We can't write a Christendom ending to an apocalyptic story, but we can say this. In the alley, the body refused. The circle around Nicholas said no. No to the sacrifice, no to the god of the square, no to the machinery of blood and purity and fear. And that might be enough for now. Not victory, not closure, but resistance. A body that held its shape. A girl who walks into the wilderness, unclaimed by empire, unowned by church, unafraid to remember. That is our gospel. Not that we win, not that we rise, but that we stay, that we refuse, that we remember, and that is all we can offer. Not hope in the usual sense, but truth, bleeding and shivering and real. The truth that looks back at you through Esau's dying eyes. The truth that survives in the silence after the boots have gone. The truth that lives in the form of a girl and a cat and a song you can barely hear. This is not a hopeful story, but it is a story of hope. And that's not the same thing. Thank you for walking this path with us. It has been arduous, precarious, and at times nearly too much to carry. But you carried it. May love go with you. May mercy find you. May wisdom keep you. May grace hold you together. And may the God who remembers the poor and the dead and the wells full of silence remember you. Sincerely, the Gadflying Company.